All right, and number three, the last and final one, I actually believe this is probably the most important out of all of these. Got a crazy video for you today. She's not yours, it's just your turn. A woman should be a complement to your life, not the focus. Do the work. Women do not care about your struggles. They hang out at the finish line and they pick the winners. What's up, my brothers? In this video, I've got 3 qualifiers that I believe need to be met if you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur. This is based on my observation over the last 20 odd years. I've done a lot of coaching. As you guys know, if you followed me for a while, I've got a very successful business. I've had some that have flopped, but I've also had some very successful ones. And these 3 things keep popping up time and time again. I've seen it myself and a lot of other guys that I've talked to. So without any further ado, I'm gonna hop right into this. Number 1 is being utterly relentless. Now, there's a second part to that, which I'll get to in a moment, but you've got to be able to have, I don't know what you want to call it, grit, gumption, the ability, basically the ability to pursue something hard and aggressively. This is what makes successful entrepreneurs successful. It's one of the key ingredients, I believe, anyway. Definitely one of the top 3. The second part to that, to number 1, is you have to know when to quit. There's a lot of dudes that I see running businesses or trying to run businesses in a genre or a niche that doesn't really, they have no business being there. It's not a business. In some cases, it might be a hobby. It's not a real business model. It doesn't generate revenue. It doesn't have the potential to generate revenue, or maybe there's not even a marketplace for it. So you get a lot of guys that are just like bullet heads, where it's like they get fired from the pistol and they just go hard and straight as fast as they can, but they don't know when to stop. There are certain strategies that you have to adopt when it comes to entrepreneurship, and know when to give up, when to quit, when to, take it around, behind the barn, beat it with a stick and bury it 6 feet under so you know that you're done with it. There are certain scenarios that you do need to abandon. There are certain times where you have to keep going, and being able to distinguish between the two is very, very important. I'm not going to do that in this video. This is more of just a summary on the 3 key components that I've seen that are the most important. All right, and number 2 is focusing on the right things. Now, this might seem obvious, but I'll give you a very good example. I was talking to a guy the other week. We were on a coaching call. He had a very young business. He was barely cracking $9,000, $10,000 a month in sales. And he was already starting to spend way too much time focusing on, how do I structure the business as an LLC? Do I incorporate it? Do I turn into a partnership with this guy that I'm working with? Do I adopt him as a partner? What about accounting? What about bookkeeping? What about your tax liabilities and payroll obligations and all that sort of stuff? And it's like, dude, wrong thing to focus on. You're barely cracking $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. Here in Canada anyway, it's not something that you want to spend that much time on unless you've got good, strong, consistent revenue. I think that the point that I went and hired a accountant is probably when I was doing about $330,000 a year. And even then he was like, okay, we're a little bit early, but you know what? We got to do some planning for this. If you can grow that fast and you do it in the first 6 to 12 months, great. Just get started as early as possible. Don't be hesitant to take care of those things. But the point that I'm making here is the guy that I was talking about, he was focused on the wrong thing. He was focused on the architecture of the business when that didn't even really matter. What really mattered is, do I have a viable business that I can scale up, that I can end up making, the $50,000, $100,000 a month that I want to make in this thing? Has he figured out the marketing part of it? That was another big component. It's like, I have this idea and I really like what I'm doing and people seem to appreciate it, and I have these people parting ways with $10,000 a month and giving it to me, but is this really enough for me to scale this up and go and pay lawyers' fees to get it incorporated and start paying accounting for bookkeeping and thinking about all that structuring? You always want to make sure that you're focusing on the right thing when you're running a business. Never find yourself getting distracted by the wrong things, because that will throw you for a loop and it will put a big dent in any kind of success that you can possibly make out of these things. Very, very important. Don't forget number 2, focus on the right thing. All right, and number 3, the last and final one, I actually believe this is probably the most important out of all of these, and that's having a very strong and developed problem-solving ability. Some people are naturals at this. I was lucky. I think as a kid, I remember the first time that I recognized that I had strong problem-solving abilities was when I was helping my dad do some work in our basement. I was probably in grade 7 or 8, and every time we had an obstacle that would fall in our way, he would at some point start to realize that he would need to rely on me to help solve the problems with the refinishing of the basement. Something with the drywall, the mudding, the tape, the electrical, where we're going to put the outlet. It was just something that I acknowledged at an early age. Now, this is a wonderful skill to have, a life skill, but I think that you can also develop it. I think that you can also develop the ability to solve problems in your life. As a guy, generally speaking, I think men more so than not are more rational, deductive problem solvers, and for the most part, we want to take more ownership and accountability for what we're doing. So if we get stuck on things, if you've got the gumption, the drive, the grit, like I talked about earlier, you will find ways to solve problems. The biggest problem that I see with all entrepreneurs and any very successful billionaire out there that's built a multi-platform or multi-layered business, in fact, all have very, very strong problem-solving ability. If that is absent, if you can't figure out how to solve problems, if you're sitting there going, well, what do I do now? You're kind of screwed, honestly. You've got to develop that skill. You can uniquely use this in many areas of your life, not just when it comes to entrepreneurship. You guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I talk about, solving problems in your own life, on relationship levels with women, even with friends and business partners and stuff like that, but more specifically with women. Solving those problems is quite easy once you understand what to go look for. It's not that hard. So work on that skill. Challenge yourself on a daily basis. I mean, the more you challenge yourself on it, the more you're going to develop the skill. I think that skills in general are like muscles, and muscles have memory. I've been weightlifting pretty much my entire life, and if I stop for a month and go back to the gym, I don't lose much, and the muscle memory is always there. It's one of the things you hear from a lot of older bodybuilders, even the ones that still compete into their 40s and 50s. Muscle memory is a very unique thing. I think that a lot of these skills are something that you can develop, and they do have memory. So work on them on a regular basis. Anyway, that's what I want to leave those top 3 tips for you guys at. There's really a lot more to talk about this. If there's anything else that you can think of that I might have missed, or any skills that you'd like to comment on, comment boxes are below. Smash the like button. And there's pinned in the top comment a bunch of stuff for coaching if you want to get into my men's community. There's, of course, links to my books and recommended reads that I have for you guys. So go ahead and check all of those out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want more of these, if this gets enough views, I'll make more of these kinds of videos, but I'm looking for viewership and engagement on the type of content. So again, leave me the comment below, smash the like button. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.